Why is it called the Umbrella Festival?
Why is it called the Umbrella Festival?
I've heard that question before.
I'm fairly certain that the Umbrella Festival name was created by Mr. Adam East from the Alberta Rose Theatre.
I see.
So how this festival was first conceived was last year. Joe and Adam from the Rose came to me and asked me if I wanted to help them create this thing, which is like a big circus and vaudeville and music festival. And I think he already had the idea of the Umbrella Festival, and it has to do with the time of year, for one thing, because it's this particular time in Portland where it's sunny and nice, but you never know when there's all of a sudden going to be a crazy downpour. So it's a good idea to pack an umbrella, I suppose. Although I guess that's sort of frowned upon around here, but it's still probably a good idea. And then also the idea that it's like everything all under a single umbrella, right? Like all these different aspects of this vibrant new subculture, all under one umbrella, the Umbrella Festival. Also, I just think it sounds nice. It's a good sounding name. What's interesting too is that it turns out there's a traditional umbrella festival in I think Indonesia or Thailand or one of these type of Southeast Asian countries that's called the Umbrella Festival, and it's right around this time of year too. So that has generated some confusion.
They have different acts though.
It's very different.
Yes.
And so there's a big parade. It's big. Everyone's got these huge umbrellas, crazy ornamental umbrellas that they walk around with, and you know how things go down there. It's like they do things like sticking knives through their faces and stuff. It's a weird scene. Festival
Umbrellas
days.
are in lots of cultures in that way.
I think that's right.
The whole New Orleans umbrella second line thing.
Yeah. See, we've always fancied the idea of adding an element like that to this festival, like sort of a big umbrella parade. But I guess we just keep on not getting around to it. Maybe 2014.
All right. So this is over several days, huh?
Yes. It's April the 19th, 20th, and 21st. And then the following weekend, it's just April the 26th and 28th. But we couldn't do the 27th because there was already something else scheduled there. So.
Well, artistically, what's it about?
Well, it's this underground culture that's sort of risen up during my lifetime and has really become a huge worldwide thing of circus and variety performance and physical comedy, vaudeville, whatever you want to call it. And the idea is that that's very well represented in Europe and Australia and Asia. It's a huge thing over there. And, a lot of my friends make a lot of their living by traveling elsewhere where this culture is more appreciated and gets more support. But in the United States, although in many ways this movement had a part of its genesis was here, like in San Francisco and New York, like in the late 60s, early 70s, and even right here in Oregon, actually, with the Oregon Country Fair and Merry Pranksters and all that. But despite that fact, I feel like it really hasn't gotten that much support or attention from a certain tier of like respectable art society. We're not getting the big grants, and we're not getting hosted in big theaters, and it's been much more of a ragtag kind of DIY grassroots culture here for the past several decades. And we're just doing our very best to bring a lot of people from that world, from a few different generations of performers from all over certainly the country, and to an extent from other countries as well, trying to bring them all together in a single place here in Portland, which we feel like is an important flashpoint of this culture right now in the 21st century incarnation, and just trying to present it all in a way that draws attention to the similarities and to the connections between all these great performers. So we've got like acrobats and aerialists and the whole thing is, I should begin with, last year I was the creative director and the artistic director. I did all the booking and did really a whole lot of everything. But this year I was approached by my friend and colleague and really a great man, David Lichtenstein, who's known to circus fans as Leapin' Louie Lichtenstein, the cowboy clown, or as we call him, the most explosive Lithuanian Jewish cowboy in the history of Oregon. He's great. Really an extraordinary trick roper and a juggler and a unicyclist and a whip cracker, and just a really funny person who's been performing for 30 years or so all over the world. Every city you've ever heard of, Leapin' Louie has been there and performed there, and he can tell you where all the cool bars are and tell you where to go to get a free meal. And he really has vast lifelong experience in this exact culture that we're talking about of traveling circus performers. So he had come to me and telling me that he wanted to do a festival around this time, and sort of wanted, to know if I wanted to get involved. And I made the suggestion of bringing him in, basically making the Umbrella Festival his festival, instead of having two congruent, semi-competing circus arts festivals at the same time in Portland, which I thought was a really bad idea.
Yes.
I brought everybody together in a single festival, and I sort of let go of the whole thing and let him take over the booking stuff. So he's brought in people that I have heard of, but that I definitely don't think I could have gotten him to come, because it's folks that know him and respect him from way back. So he's got, for example, Offner the Eccentric, who is, I end up tossing the word legendary around quite a bit, but he truly is a legendary figure in physical comedy. Well, I've been hearing about this guy for ages, and he teaches workshops. Everybody always says that, if you take Offner's workshop, it'll change your life, change your style of performing forever. And he's got a solo show called Exceptions to Gravity that has killed on Broadway and all over the place. It's been a really good, popular show for a long time. And he happens to be in the area because I believe he's doing the Moisture Festival a couple weeks prior to this in Seattle. So he's coming down and he's performing for us, and that's going to be really something. He's on the second day. We've got also Button Wagon. Button Wagon is one of my favorite, sort of contrastingly, they're very young, relatively recent addition to the culture, who are trying out all kinds of great new things, combining more traditional circus arts. One of them is a great contortionist, and the other one is a really great object manipulator and balancer. But they combine this with all sorts of sort of surreal, dreamlike, sort of a little bit Butoh-esque kind of performance that they do with giant, oversized props, and it's sort of hard to summarize. But they're coming as well, and they're extraordinary. Button Wagon. Got my own Wanderlust Circus Orchestra, of course, is opening the festival on the 19th, and some people that'll be familiar to Portland audiences, like Kazoom is in the show, Trash Can Joe, Baby Gramps is coming out, which will be awesome. We got Fable.
He doesn't have a lot of theatrical performance.
Well, Gramps. I don't know if you've ever talked to Baby Gramps, but he's sort of in an ongoing, constant theatrical performance.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell.
I mean, in theaters.
Right. That's true. Reese Thomas, who's also in the festival, actually, he's an extraordinary juggler, Reese Thomas. He told me that when he first started doing country fair, like 1970, he said Baby Gramps was there, and he said Baby Gramps was already an old man with like a big gray beard. That's what, is that 40 years ago?
Yeah.
Something, that guy's got a secret. He's got some kind of magical hoodoo charm that keeps him alive.
It's like Mose Allison, who finally grew into his voice.
Yeah, right. Then we got all kinds of folks. We got...
speaking of the Wanderlust Circus Orchestra...
Oh, yeah.
You have an album out.
We did. We just put out our first CD. The Wanderlust Circus Orchestra has sort of gradually evolved over the years as the house band for the circus. And I would say, from our perspective, kind of has its roots in the Wan Prophet organization, who was my circus band for a year and a half or so. And that group all sort of went their separate ways. A lot of them left town and stuff. So sort of the two principal guys in Wan Prophet, like the main songwriters, Chris and Jeff, have continued into this band, and I've added in just some really great, basically jazz players, I would say. We got like Paul Evans, who's in Vagabond Opera, and Anna Paul and the Bearded Lady, and also Anna Leander, who's the singer of Anna Paul. TJ Arco, the xylophone player from Three Leg Torso, and a bunch of other bands. Shoehorn is in the band, who I've been doing shows with him for a long time. He's been with my circus for a long time. He's a tap dancing saxophone player, who I'm sure you know. We got Joe Hagley, the drummer from the Shanghai Woolies, who's extraordinary. Griff Bear is a fiddle player. He's in a band called Botsy that I like a whole lot, and he's a wonderful player. That might be the whole band, basically.
Well,
something like it.
What kind of material do you do?
A lot of it is sort of traditional swing with kind of a hokum jazz angle, sort of a hokum swing. We're very much inspired by Spike Jones and the City Slickers, actually, in terms of how we're structuring our songs, with lots of hairpin stylistic changes and choreographed to go along with these little variety numbers that come out unexpectedly and happen.
Do you use a starter's pistol as percussion?
I don't. Although I would, but I try my best not to directly lift things from Spike.
I see.
Because, I don't want to be like, we're not a Spike Jones and the City Slickers tribute band or anything.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Although, yeah, I mean, let's write that down.
There you go.
But we're not presently that. It's more in the style and in the approach and how we're trying to put the shows together. Very reminiscent
if you
of
did
the
use
show.
a starter pistol as a percussion instrument, there's only about 150 people, who would really hook that up to Spike Jones. They would go, "My God, what a great idea!"
Right. It's funny too, because I'm a pretty Spike Jonesy guy in a lot of ways. I'm tall, I'm thin, I got my crazy suits, and as longtime followers of my work know, I am in fact a scrap metal percussionist.
Yes.
And I've still got my old scrap metal percussion rig is somewhat diminished nowadays, but I've still got a bunch of that stuff. And we've talked many times. We've talked about actually incorporating that into the show and building me a little Spike Jones style percussion rack.
Yeah.
I think we might ultimately do it, but so far I sing in the band and I MC and
Right.
sort of run the show on the stage side. But so far there is no metal percussion.
If we were to preview one of the tunes from the album, what would you like people to hear?
I think that I would direct you toward "Why Make Hearts Behave,"
Okay.
which is sung by Anna. I'm not even on this song, which is one of the best things about it. It's got Anna is the singer, and I think it's got exceptionally good solos by all the folks in the band. I'd say "Why Make Hearts Behave" is where I would direct you.
Well, why is it? I mean, after all these years of being the most outrageous performer in the avant-garde, that you come back to singing swing?
Well, I'll tell you, Tom.
I mean, it's not that you came back. I don't know if you were ever there.
No, this
but
would be
came to swing.
Well, let's see. I started as a singer when I was just a kid. I was really into singing. I would sing in musicals and in choruses, community choruses and stuff. And then as I became a teenager, I got into rock and roll. I was like a rock singer in Los Angeles in various bands that were, pretty good, pretty all right. And it wasn't until I moved to Portland that I fell in with this kind of a experimental performance, theater, dance kind of a community that I did, which was great. I mean, it was wonderful, and I loved all those guys so much, like Two Girls Performative Arts and 36 Invisibles and all. That's what I did for years.
Right.
It's not that I don't feel like I ever decided to stop doing it exactly. It's just the whole circus thing sort of unexpectedly grew out of that. I was approached by a guy, Tony St. Clair, to MC a circus because he saw me MCing the Mokestra at the old Liminal Space, and I did it, and it was great at the Crystal Ballroom, Sakuri Kurajul, and then that all kind of came apart. So I fused a big Societas Insomnia show, my old Nightmare Circus, that was like circus performers plus weird noise music and weird kind of like dark fetish performance and Butoh and more conceptual stuff like that, and that was great for a while. And then I just started touring with a freak show, the 999 Eyes Freak Show, and rode around on a bus full of deformed people for about 6 months, and that was great, really transformative experience. And got back from that and lived in an abandoned building in Seattle and got back into a lot more of this freaky art stuff and playing my scrap metal and doing experimental theater bits with PAN Butoh and with implied violence and all that. And that was when I was called to move back to Portland to run the Someday Lounge, that I decided to put a circus together there. That was Batty's Hippodrome, which very quickly evolved into the Wanderlust Circus with myself once Nick the Preacher got here from San Francisco, my circus production partner. And then they fired me from the Someday Lounge, which, I'm sure like the whole notorious me getting fired from the Someday situation happened. And then, so I just kind of decided to hang on to the circus thing because I was liking where it was going and what was happening with it. And just developed it over time, and it just sort of crowded everything else out. It got to a point where doing the circus shows was just taking up all my time, and I really love it, and I don't consider the circus to be that much different from what I used to do. I mean, it's these people who have devoted their lives to learning how to do these really extraordinary things that are impressive and beautiful to see on stage, and I like it. I think that I have, to a degree, I've gotten to like the idea of making performances that are easy to enjoy and easy to appreciate, rather than setting up a performance that's super challenging and difficult for the audience. Because I just want to, I want there to be a place for everybody at my shows. I don't want to have a show that scares people away or that makes people feel uncomfortable or unwelcome, you know? I want to create something that just invites everyone in and that can be shared amongst people of disparate backgrounds and tastes, and I feel like the circus does that. It's a cool skeleton key that seems to work for everybody. I mean, we put shows on, and there's seriously like little kids, 3-year-old kids dancing in the aisles, and then like 80-year-old couples that, you know, have been going to the circuses all their lives, and people my own age. I'm like pushing 40 right now, and young, vibrant young adults from around the Last Thursday kind of scene with their face tattoos and a bone through their nose and whatever. You know, it's like a really wide spectrum of different folks that come out to our shows, and I love that because I got a love for all these people, you know, and I feel like I used to do shows that were willfully obscure, that were like to intentionally set up shows that were like it was like a obstacle course of perception or something, you know, where if you didn't work real hard, it would just all just look like a big confusing mess to you, you know. And those shows were great, and I enjoy shows of this approximate kind a lot when I go check them out. Still, a lot of people doing this kind of work, but I don't know. I just got into this circus thing, and it's all going so well, and I love it so much, you know. So I just got back into the singing because I love singing, and I had let that go for a while. So. And now I'm doing it, you know. I always loved the swing music. I always loved the old jazz. And it's real cool to be able to get with these players that I respect so much and that I feel like it's a rare thing, you know. We're making some music that I think is itself, our music and our circus performance, I feel like is still pretty groundbreaking and pretty like innovative and unique the way we put our shows together. So it's never felt like I'm just, you know, relaxing into this easy thing, because it's like it's still very challenging for us to make the shows, and I feel like we're always still finding new ways of putting all these elements together and making something new. It's just a really exciting time right now. Yeah, this whole kind of culture, this you know, worldwide circus and variety and vaudeville culture is just booming right now. It's huge. There was just an article in the New York Times about it. You read that? There was. The New York Times just did an article like a week ago or something about exactly what I've been talking about how there's a big worldwide circus performance underground that's big in Europe and big in Asia and big in Australia, but it gets no respect in America. I guess there's actually some kind of official rule in New York that they can't fund variety and circus arts through their like city arts funding mechanism or whatever. They're like, but no circus, you know. Which I mean, what's that all about?
Really?
What do we all hate the circus now? What's to hate about the circus? It's so fun and great. So yeah, I just feel like it's really of the moment, you know. And I often get caught up in this kind of thing. Like whenever there's something big happening and it's a big cultural movement, there's just folks all over the place doing it. This excites me, and I become inspired by the artists that I encounter and imagining ways that I can bring them together and create this and help it to happen, you know. So I'm just on the circus thing right now. I might stop at any moment, at any instant. If I feel myself pulled a different direction, I'm out, and the circus is on its own. So get it while you can.